Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is my review for Wish of East End, Season 2, Episode 10, The Fall of the House of the Beauchamp. And, this episode was crazy. It really was. Especially after, but that was understandable, because after what happened last week, it had to be crazy, because of what happened last week. You know, last week's episode was really crazy with that ending. I really love that twist at the end, what they did, and it seemed like they were going to stick with that, but there are bigger twists that happened at the end of this episode that we really need to talk about. So let's just get this episode, because overall I thought it was a fantastic episode. I don't know if it was the best episode of the season, but I do think it was probably the second best episode of the season. It was still great. So we see again, we unfortunately had to see once again Freya and Ingrid. You know, they were hung, of course, and they were hanged by that tree. And Wendy has to collect her wits after stumbling upon it. She kicks Frederick out of the house, even though Frederick didn't do it. You know, she's not allowing him to make any type of excuse for what happened to his sisters, because here's the thing, Frederick kind of got them involved in this, because Frederick was the one who was sent to do this mission. He could have easily told Tarkov he didn't want to do it, and he didn't. So Wendy really feels bad for, Wendy's really upset because of this. So she, then along with Joanna, get the girls down from the tree, dress them up in white gowns, puts them in the middle of the dining room surrounded by candles, and crystals are placed in the girls' hands, and a sag is lit, and Wendy and Joanna do their best to honor the girls while figuring out what their next move should be. You know, should they try to bring them back? Should they just ignore the situation? Should they try to go on with their lives? They don't really know what they're supposed to do here. Joanna is she's lost it. She's crying hysterically, obviously she's lost it, because her girls are everything to her. Plus, Joanna has kind of lost everything this season. She lost her husband, she's lost a girl who she could have a potential romance with, and now she's lost her daughters. It's just too much for her. So, basically, Wendy eventually gets Joanna to take a sedative and rest after their trying day, because Joanna is just, as I said, in terrible condition right now. And she's seeing as how they can't do much of anything if they're running on empty or too frazzled to form coherent thoughts, let alone piece together a way to bring Ingrid and Freya back from the dead. They just don't know how to do it. They can't. It doesn't seem... They don't know how to bring him back from the dead yet. They don't know if it's possible to bring him back from the dead at this point. So, meanwhile, if you remember, the Gardner house was destroyed. Killain and Dash's, the Gardner basement is destroyed, and Killain wakes up before Dash, and he uses his magic to not only remove the piece of furniture that pinned him down, but procure himself the fireplace poker. And he gets over Dash and taunts him with the weapon, telling his brother that if the tables weren't turned, he would end up with a poker through his chest. And Dash begs for Killian to end his life. Dash's point is like, just do it. I want to die. And Killian refused to give him the satisfaction, leaves him on the floor of the attic surrounded by the rubble that once constituted his life. Because Killian doesn't want to kill his brother. He just is really upset at him because he didn't tell him something that was very important to him, and he kept that secret from him, of course. So Dash finds the broken jar that contained the figure that represented Kyle's sunken body, resulting in a panic call to Ingrid. Now, of course, Dash has no idea that Ingrid is dead right now. No idea. He has no idea about it, and Killian has no idea that Freya is dead. So Killian heads to the Bent Elbow, where he has a confrontation with an already drunk Frederick. Frederick is really drunk right now. And Frederick brings up the trouble he had with the former in Asgard. Because you remember, Killian and Frederick knew each other from Asgard somehow. We don't know how, but we know how. So, claiming that Killian was just as much trouble for Freya than as he is now. And the two have to be separated rather quickly. So, I thought that was definitely very interesting. But things are not getting any easier for Killian, because he rushes over to the Beauchamp house, because he wants to find out what Frederick means by that. Obviously, Killian's like, what the fuck are you talking about? So, he then finds Freya and Ingrid lying in the middle of the dining room, and it's so sad, because this was the worst way for him to find out. He comes into the room, and when he says, just get out and everything, and he doesn't understand why, and then, of course, the worst time for him to find out is when he goes over there. It was just so sad to watch, really. It was devastating, I gotta say. It was devastating to see Killian find out that way. It really was. So he mourns his loss, cradling Freya's body in his arms with Wendy watching. And meanwhile, this was huge. I was not expecting this at all. Joanna tries to kill herself. She slits her wrists in the upstairs bathroom because she's just so done with her. She's so done. She's so consumed by the grief for the girls, and she's so upset and devastated that she really has nowhere else to turn. So she's just tried to kill herself. And when she did that, I'm like, okay, this episode is just getting crazy. And Wendy eventually finds Joanna, and in the bloody water, magically heals the wounds on her arms and puts her in bed. Joanna, of course, doesn't want to grieve. She does not want to live a life right now without this version of Freya and Ingrid, because, again, she is to keep regenerating them over and over again. She does not want to regenerate them this time, because they're dead. She has to regenerate them, and she really does not want to regenerate them right now. I don't think it's so much that she doesn't want to regenerate them. It's that she doesn't know if she can. Well, plus she can't die, but the thing is, she really just can't get over what's happened. I mean, all this problems she's had this year, all the stress she's had this season, it's been too much for her. And it's come to a point where she's just done. So, all she wants is to be reunited with Ingrid and Freya that she had the strongest connection with. Wendy refused to let her sister leave her alone and ends up giving Joanna another sedative so she can find the rest that she refuses to let herself get, even for a few hours. Basically, to just get over them, and I thought that was overall a good scene. So, meanwhile, over at Killian's, he comes into contact with a mysterious statue that keeps regenerating every time he destroys it. Literally, every time he destroys a statue, it just comes back to life. Now Dash then comes knocking, and Dash is looking for help with the situation with Kyle, because he knows that Kyle is now alive. So, Killian tells him about Ingrid and Freya being dead, and kicks him out of the house, informing his brother that his problems don't compare the death that was just experienced. And, that's just huge, because Dash had no idea about this, so that was very sudden the way it was done. I mean, he's just like, get out of here, you have no idea what's going on, and he just kicks him out, because, again, he's just devastated. It really just shows the grief that everyone's going through, really. It was really sad to watch, but it's realistic. So, back at the bent elbow, Wendy gives Frederick a proposition. First, she makes him sober and fills him in on the situation with Joanna, and she now has a new plan. The plan is to have him go through with the ritual to bring the king back, since he might be the only person powerful enough to resurrect the girls. It's not the ideal situation, but in her mind, it's really the only way that they have a shot at getting Ingrid and Freya back, because Joanna's just a wreck. Joanna's not even gonna try, because she's just a wreck right now. She's too upset. I mean, Joanna's just hopeless, okay? She would try to, she would try to get help from Joanna, but she's helpless right now, because Joanna's just a wreck right now. She is. So, the only way to do it is for Dash to do it. Not Dash, but for Dash. I meant, Frederick. The only way to do it is for Frederick to do it, because they can't get, Tarkov to it, because Tarkov is the one that did it, obviously. So, that was definitely very interesting what happened there. So, Killian is then looking at the bottom of the statue, and he finds a message from Ava pointing him toward a New York address. And that was definitely very interesting, what he found there. He finds his letter from her. And, again, remember, Ava really did love him. So I was wondering, are they going to bring back Ava? I was really hoping they would not bring her back in this episode. And they didn't, but something did happen, which we'll talk about. Dash, meanwhile, is getting hit on by this random woman at the bar. She turns out to be bold enough to follow up on the drink she sent over to him, and urges him to make the most of this grievous occasion. So, basically, this was just so random. This girl just comes up to him, and she had sex with a stranger the day her brother died, and claims it was pretty amazing, so she wants him to capitalize on the wave of emotion he's dealing with, and channel those into some good old-fashioned bump and grind, which he takes her up on, and the two end up having sex, in the bar storeroom. Now, that was really, I wasn't expecting that. That was, interesting, but, okay. Okay. And here's the thing I'll say about that scene. It really just shows this different ways people deal with grief. That's really what this whole episode shows, is the different ways people deal with grief. Dash is using grief. The way he's dealing with it is he's having sex. That's how he's dealing with it. So I thought that was interesting. So Wendy and Frederick, they make it to St. Gabriel's, and they find Tarkov waiting for them, because the only way to get their king back is to find Tarkov, because Tarkov knows where the king is. So they get the telepath to agree to help them, and Wendy is given a brief moment to spend with Tommy, because remember, Tommy is still chained up, who Frederick warned was nothing but a vessel anymore. Tommy is no longer Tommy. She apologized to him for putting him through this and regrets not spelling him when she had the chance, but there's no time for any of that. Not when the ritual has to be completed. Tommy's body is then placed in the middle of a circle of candles, and Frederick lays with his head facing the opposite direction, and Tarkov says a quick chant, and the spirit of the king, a pinkish-reddish puff of smoke, leaps out of Frederick and into Tommy. And that was huge when that happened, because basically, Tommy screams, and when he reaches to help him, her father had already taken over, and that's huge, because that relationship is done. The whole Tommy-Wendy plot, that's over, because now Tommy is the king. Tommy has now been transformed into the king completely, and I thought that was an awesome twist. I thought that was really cool what they did there. I wasn't expecting that, but I thought that was really cool, because it was just really cool in my opinion. I thought that was really well done, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen there, definitely. That's going to be real. I was definitely looking forward to seeing what's going to happen after that. So, Wendy reaches out in her, and it's only a segment before Tarkov gets locked in a nearby cell for harming Ingrid and Freya, because obviously something bad had to happen to Tarkov. I thought he was going to die in this episode, but the only person that's really going to be able to kill him is Ingrid, because she has that final thing. I don't remember what it's called now, but those 3 things that she tried to kill Tarkov with. I can't remember what it was called though. Let me look what was it called. Oh geez, I know what I'm talking about. I just can't remember the name of it right now, guys. Sorry. What was it called? Oh, through the scorpion. She has the 3rd scorpion that didn't kill Tarkov, because it seems that Tarkov just can't die for whatever reason. I don't know why, but Tarkov can't die. But at least Tarkov did get what he deserved. And the king then acknowledges Wendy for being on her last life, implying that he could help her with that. And the thing is, like, Wendy wanted to give up her last life to bring back Ingrid and Freya. And now the king is saying that he might be able to fix that. Because, if you remember, Wendy has 9 lives. 9 lives. She's basically... That's because it goes into the form of a cat, and she has 9 lives because of that. So, she's on her last life right now, and the king wants to help her with that. So, I thought that was interesting. So, basically, he comforts Frederick after putting his grandson through a lot to get to this point, because Frederick's just in a really bad state right now. And, yeah, so then Killian follows that message he got, from Ava, because he wants to know what happened, what that message has to do with. So he goes to Botanica Silo Eve Inferno, which is a magic shop where he witnesses a man performing a ritual on a little girl. However, the man immediately picks up on Killian's presence and gets him step forward from his hiding place. And, so Dash, meanwhile, gets the woman he picked up in the bar's phone number, and despite his insistence on things not getting above casual hookup status, so he, the thing is, you can kind of see that Dash likes this woman. He's trying to get over Ingrid and Freya. He's trying to get over Ingrid, but it doesn't exactly seem to be working. So Joanna picks the lock to her bedroom, spends some time with the girls, and that gets interrupted, though, because Wendy and Frederick bring the king home, and Joanna just freaks out at the man she spent centuries avoiding being in her home, because, remember, their relationship with the king was not a good one, okay? It's not good that the king is back, because they never had really good relationship with him. He's not the kind of person that she'd be happy to see. Even though she's happy that her girls are being resurrected, she's not happy to see him, because they didn't have a good relationship. So Joanna freaks out, and however, she does let him try to resurrect them, and after a quick chant, they're alive. That's it. They're alive. And I was glad they brought him back, honestly, because you couldn't go more than one episode without Ingrid and Freya. They are 2 of the most important characters on the show. You need them on the show in order to move the story forward. You just can't have them dead, honestly. I know people are probably saying, oh, it was a little too early. And at first I thought that, but here's what I thought, honestly, guys. Think about it. If they would have paused the story because Ingrid and Freya were dead, it would have been really annoying, definitely. If they would have just left them dead, people would stop watching the show, because Ingrid and Freya are two of the best characters on the show, and you can't have Witch of Eastham without having Ingrid and Freya. You just can't. It's that simple. So, that definitely, I was glad that they brought them back, and yeah, so they're back now. So, basically, Ingrid comforts her mother after mentioning that her soul stayed in the house and knew about the suicide attempt, and they talk about where they went to. Ingrid said she went to, they all say where they went to. Freya, I thought this was really interesting what happened. So yeah, Ingrid's soul was in the house. She was almost like a ghost or a presence in the house, and she saw, Joanna commit suicide and things like that. So Ingrid was tied to the house, basically. So I was interested in seeing why she was tied to the house. Freya, meanwhile, was in the underworld on a boat. So that, outside on a boat, and that really made me freak out, because if you remember, that's how Killian almost died. Well, we thought, at least. That's how Killian almost died. And I thought that was really interesting what happened there, because I didn't expect her to say that. So I thought that was definitely very interesting. And basically, this makes a rescue from her grandfather at the most important, because the king then suggests that today they mark a new beginning for the Beauchamp family, seeing as how his body is breaking down, but not all members are too happy at the idea of letting him back into the fold. They're not all happy that the king is back. Even though Joanna is happy to get Ingrid and Freya back, they're not all the way happy right now. So, back in New York, Killian mentions Ava dying to the man who's presumably the owner of the shop. Something that doesn't get exactly positive response. He's not happy about this. The owner that produces 2 tarot cards in front of Killian. The Emperor and the Trickster. Those are 2 tarot cards. And he tells him to place his hand over one. But when he does, he gets stabbed in the hand just as Ava's great-granddaughter comes out at the back of the shop in order to heal his wound. Now, I will say this was a interesting twist. I wasn't expecting that. At first, I thought, oh god, are they about to bring Ava back? But they didn't, because this girl has an accent. And I will say I'm glad they brought her back, because Bianca Lawson, 1, she's hot, 2, she's a really good actress. She's really good on the show. I like that they decided to bring her back somehow. But this is definitely going to be interesting what happened here, because it definitely is going to be very interesting, because now we have her great-granddaughter there. And the blade has stabbed him, gets placed in a flame, and the owner claims to know why he's there to begin with. So, we don't see what happens after that. That's really the last scene we saw of Killian in this episode, and I thought that was definitely very interesting. So, I was very interested to see what happens there. So, Dash then wakes up the following morning and calls Raven, who is the woman he met at the bar, and he wants to set up another encounter with her. But it turns out, though, this was very interesting, she is the FBI agent in charge of investigating the string of murders in East End, and she just became aware of the body that washed up on shore. So that's not good, because she could find out what Dash did, that Dash was the one that killed Kyle. She doesn't know that right now, though. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens when she finds that out. I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen there, because definitely when she finds out, it's going to be very interesting. Definitely. I'm looking forward to seeing what her reaction to that's going to be, and that's just going to be awesome when she finds out. I'm really looking forward to that. So, basically, yeah, that's definitely going to be very interesting, and Dash better watch his back, because she is now the FBI agent, and he can't be with her, because needs to find out that she's an FBI agent, okay? She's probably going to tell him, and if he finds that out, he's going to become completely paranoid, because he wants to cover up this death as possible as he can, in any way that he can, and he can't cover it up if she's an FBI agent, obviously. So, back at the Beauchamps, Frederick explains that he's trusting the king because of the change in his behavior, while in Asgard, and the fact that he brought Ingrid and Freya back, he's not ready to believe that the king is for her any good. So Joanna produced a key for the time door in her closet, and at first they think they're going back to Asgard, but she says, oh no, we're not going back to Asgard. And however, as I said, Frederick trusts the king right now. He's not going with them because he trusts them. So basically, they're very confused right now, because she keeps saying we have to go back. I need to go back and get something from the world, because she's trying to get the girls to come along with her, and she has to go retrieve something from the past that will help their situation in the present. So that was very interesting, because I'm thinking, what does she want to keep? What is it that she wants to keep, really? And that definitely was very interesting when she said that. So she's trying to get him to go through the time door. Freya and Wendy end up going with her, but Ingrid wants to stay in the present with her grandfather and Frederick. So that was very interesting what happened there. For whatever reason, she doesn't want to go. She wants to stay with her grandfather and Frederick. And I don't really know why. I don't know why. I'm interested in seeing why she wants to stay with them because we don't really know at this point. So they go through the time door and they end up in some medieval world, like not medieval, but like the 1800s. So that was really weird. And Wendy said she remembers this place, and Freya's just like, Freya is exactly how I was reacting. I was just like, where the hell are they? Like seriously, that was just like. That was really weird, definitely. I like that they're going back in time. It's cool to see this. I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen here, but very weird way to end the episode. And Joanna says we just have to go, and they go, and the question is, where are they going to? That's what I want to know, is where they're going to next. And this was a fantastic episode. I definitely really enjoyed it. You know, I definitely did really enjoy this episode. I thought it was really fantastic, and a lot of really great stuff in this episode, definitely. Again, I know some people are going to say, oh, Ingrid and Freya being back was too abruptly handled. I do understand that, but I did think I really liked the way it was handled. I thought it was well done, because now we have so many other things going on right now. First of all, it seems like we're going to be on a flashback kind of episode. You know, it definitely feels like we're headed for that, especially with Killian and Frederick and Asgard. We don't really know what's going on with them, so if that's where they're heading, you know, that was definitely very interesting, because if you remember, this is not going to be the first flashback episode they did. The episode 3 was essentially a flashback episode. Even though it wasn't all flashbacks, it was essentially a flashback episode. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen there. Now, Ingrid wanting to stay in Asgard. Ingrid wanting to stay in the real world. I don't know why she wants to stay in the present. We don't really know why. It seems like next week the king is going to try to convince her to come with him back to Asgard. So I don't know if Ingrid's going to go, but we'll have to see what happens there. Dash is in deep shit right now, because if that lady finds out what he did, it's not going to end up well for him at all. If Raven finds out, it's not going to end up well for him. I like his plot, though, because now he has to try to do his best to cover up what he did, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen there. And Killian has a lot to deal with, too, because now he has to deal with Ava's great-granddaughter, who seems a lot more spunky, a lot more powerful, and a lot more evil than Ava was. Because Ava wasn't really evil, as I said. She just really needed a child so she could live. That's really all she needed. So Ava wasn't really evil. This girl seems evil. I don't trust this girl. She seems evil, and I don't trust her at this point. And I'm also looking forward to Killian's reaction when he finds out that Freya is alive. I don't think this is going to be for a while, but Dash's reaction when he finds out that Ingrid's alive. I'm looking forward to that as well, because that's going to be really cool to see. And that'll probably bring Dash and Killian back together, because at this point, they do not have a good relationship right now at all. Frederick and the king, I don't know what's going to happen with him. It seems like Frederick trusts his father right now, but I feel that's not going to last. I feel like the king is going to do something so Frederick, so Frederick does not trust him anymore. I feel like something's going to happen there. I don't know what, but I feel that the king is going to do something that that's going to cause Frederick to not trust the king anymore. We'll have to see what happens there, though, but overall, that's in my review. I hope you guys enjoy this review. Let me know if you guys saw this episode. I can understand if you guys did not like this episode, because I do understand that some things were handled too abruptly. I thought it was well done, because, again, if you would have had a whole episode with no Ingrid or Freya, it just would not have worked, and you could not have had these awesome twists going. So many twists now on the show. This show throws a million twists at you, and just, oh my god, this show just gets better and better every episode. It really does. I tweeted, which the V-Sten keeps getting better and better. It really does. If you think about it, it really does. I know some people think the show is stupid or whatever, because, oh, it's on Lifetime, but this show is just so advanced for Lifetime. It really is. It's so much better than Lifetime, and I'm just so into this show. Just every episode just gets better and better. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for, I guess, tomorrow's episode of Sons of Anarchy, because I'm not reviewing Gotham. I might review the premiere of Gotham. We'll see. Most likely, I'm not reviewing the premiere of Gotham. We'll have to see what I decide to do. because if I review the premiere of Gotham, I have to review the second episode, and if I do that, I can't review any further for you guys, because then I'm going to watch the originals live, and that's pretty much why I'm not going to review Gotham as a season. I might just review the pilot. We'll have to see what I do, but I'll see you guys in my next video, whatever it'll be. I'll see you then. Bye.